Are you here for political analysis or because you want my betting pick? Be honest. You know that I had Minnesota plus 6.5 against Philadelphia and had the perfect outcome on Thursday night, because I didn't want to bet against Philadelphia, but I had a feeling Philly wins by 6. I have Minnesota plus 6.5. I get the best of both worlds. Okay, but here's the thing. I'm sitting here today, and I can prove it. I just made a wager, not my usual 25 large, but $10 on Colorado. What? Why do I care about Colorado and Colorado State? I love the plot lines, the storyline, the backstory, and this whole Deion Sanders turnaround of the Colorado program. This is how crazy I am. I took Colorado minus 23. They need 2 touchdowns in order to cover. And I can't even stay up and watch the game. It's at 10 o'clock tonight. There's no way I could stay up. But I'm into it. The trash talking between he and Jay Norvell, the glasses, the hats, and Deion got everybody on the team, the glasses. Are you following any of this? It's fun to have a little skin in the game. Penn State at Illinois, Ohio State hosting Western Kentucky, Ohio hosting Iowa State, Bowling Green, Michigan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Parks Casino, football's king, Saturdays in the fall are all about college football and the Bet Parks Sportsbook app. I've got Colorado at minus 23. Go Buffaloes. I can't believe I'm even saying this. It's just insane. But there's my proof. Bet with your head, not over it. Got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, or Maryland. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So turning to the political news of the day, there was a poll that came out this week, and it showed Donald Trump. It was a Fox poll, but it's consistent with everything else. It showed Donald Trump at 60% in this crowded field, and that's up 7 since the GOP debate number 1. By the way, debate number 2 coming up at the Reagan Library. Debate number 3 is going to be in Miami. Trump is not going to participate at the debate in the Reagan Library. Mistake on his part, not politically speaking, but just that library is phenomenal. But his excuse is he's got some beef with somebody at the library. Who knows? So right now he's feeling no pressure to have to get on the debate stage, and it is suiting him to stay out of it because he is a very commanding 60% in a national poll. I get it. That's not how we pick our candidates. What matters is what's going on state by state. But still, you get the picture. Despite 4 indictments, he's in a position of strength. So where we have spent a lot of time on radio this week talking about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, is Joe running? Is Kamala the appropriate running mate? I wanted to spend a moment and talk about potential running mates for Donald Trump. And I do so today spurred by the fact that there is this unbelievably salacious story that the Daily Mail broke, that the New York Post is all over. Meet Frisky Christie and Ludendowski. And what's so incredible about the story is that it's not like you would expect to see in the New York Post a page 6 reference like, who is that much touted vice presidential pick for Donald Trump who is reportedly having an affair? And then you'd wonder, who could that be? This is nothing like that. This just lays out the fact that for a long time, people have been observing the two of these folks together, both married, and in very close quarters in public settings with one another, being handsy. I mean, that's, I think, the word choice that they use here. Playing grab ass, I think is what the Daily Mail said. Married Republican South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has engaged in a years-long affair with longtime Donald Trump advisor Corey Lewandowski Multiple sources told the Post on Friday, though no images of the two getting frisky were known to exist, the pair have been less than discreet about their relationship, with one source recalling them making out at a hotel bar during the 2021 I love it, at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando. And then somebody is quoted as saying, I remember it was so absurdly blatant and public, said the person about the two getting handsy in the Hyatt Regency Orlando with between 100 and 200 people around them. So apparently, like, it's the worst kept secret, in South Dakota, I guess. Anyway, back in the context of Trump's vice presidential debate, because after all, that's my alleged reason for bringing all this up. How will that story impact Kristi Noem's chances of being Donald Trump's running mate? And my view is not at all, because I never believed that she had a shot, nor do I think that Kari Lake has a shot. By the way, most importantly, I don't think that this revelation will cause Donald Trump to distance himself from Kristi Noem or from Lewandowski. To the contrary, I think he'll love it. Because we learned from Michael Wolff when he wrote that book about Trump called Fire and Fury, that Trump looks at every day as if it's a reality television show. This is today's episode. If anything, I think it'll make Trump want to go back to South Dakota, even though he was just there and she endorsed him, just so he can tease the whole story, and people will be tuning in like, oh my God, she's the one having the relationship with Corey Lewandowski. Do you think Trump will pick her? And fools like me will hang on their seat and watch the whole thing play out for weeks, if not months on end, because he is a master at keeping us coming back to the well based on these kind of stories. I don't think it's Kristi Noem. I don't think that he ever would have selected her. I don't think that she's got the portfolio. I don't think that South Dakota does much for him. She's a female. I get it. Kari Lake, she lost that race. Why would he pick someone who had been a newscaster and ran for governor and lost? If she'd won, maybe she'd be up for consideration. I also don't think that Trump will take Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think that he'll take Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he'll just tease each one of these people to keep us interested. Who will he really look at? I don't know. If you asked me today who would be on a short list as a running mate, and by the way, I'm not saying Trump's the nominee. I'm simply saying that at this stage, he's got 60% of the Republican vote nationally, and it doesn't seem like anything is going to get in his way, but you never know. Who knows? But who would I see? And by the way, give me your suggestions here. Who do you think Donald Trump would select as a running mate if he's the nominee? On my list would be Nikki Haley. If for Trump, I'm not recommending, I'm just saying, who do I expect he would consider? I think Nikki Haley, depending on how she comports herself, and I don't mean is she a good debater? I mean, does she go after him? If she goes after him, then she'll be dead to him in this process. But I could see Nikki Haley getting consideration. I could see Tim Scott getting consideration. I do not see Ron DeSantis. I think that's gotten much too personal. Could be Mike Pompeo. I could see Trump reaching out for Mike Pompeo. Here's another one. How about the Congresswoman from New York, Elise Stefanik, who became more and more Trumpian during the course of his term? I could see any one of those individuals. I don't see Kristi Noem, but not because of this story. This story is only going to cause her to be more trumpeted, that stupid word, more, pushed out there by the Trump sources and Trump himself to keep us going back to the well. Because, as I say, I think that he'll love a story like this. I think that he'll be all over it, and it was not going to impact his thinking. It's just going to make her more of the television fodder, for the time to come. Yeah, that's how I look at that. television program today on CNN. So I'm thrilled that Scott Galloway, actually, I've got three of my favorite guests on CNN with me today. Scott Galloway, Professor G, the NYU professor, talking about unions in the context of the UAW. Jean Twenge, as in iGen, the psychologist from San Diego State University, talking about generational change in voting patterns. And Gerald Posner, who literally wrote the book on the Kennedy assassination, talking about this new revelation 60 years on from a Secret Service agent who says, hey, I found this pristine bullet, the so-called magic bullet, in the limo in the back seat, and I put it on Kennedy's stretcher. Does that really alter the belief in the single bullet, special bullet, magic bullet? I don't think so, for reasons that I hope, it's a complicated subject, I hope that I'll be able to bring out of Gerald Posner when he's my guest today. The focus with Jean Twenge is follow-up to the Bob Sosnick interview that I did this week on radio, where we talked about how there's a significant difference between baby boomers and Gen Z and millennials. Now, you've got the Gen Xers in between, if you're following all of this, but the younger Americans don't look at the world the same way as their grandparents. The question becomes, are views determined by age or generation? Are their views going to shift when they get older or remain constant? If they remain constant, that maybe they are the hope that get us out of the partisan ditch that we're in today. And with regard to Scott Galloway and Professor G, today's poll question at Smerconish.com asks, which best promotes and safeguards the interests of the working class? Is it unions? Is it the federal government? Or is it the free market? And I can tell you this, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Despite the fact that unions seem to be making somewhat of a resurgence in terms of the public's attitude about unions, in terms about some high profile, think Amazon, think Starbucks, unionization opportunities. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of union activity going on right now, I can tell you that Professor G, Scott Galloway, believes that they are a failed construct, that the deck is stacked against unions, and that unions are no way to protect the rights and opportunities for the working class. Only the federal government can do that by establishing working conditions, establishing a minimum wage, making sure that harassment and discrimination are a thing of the past in the workplace. But I think it's a provocative poll question. I've not yet voted, so I haven't seen how other people are casting their ballots. Which is most effective in protecting and promoting the rights of the working class? Labor unions, the federal government, or the free market? Go to Smerconish and cast a ballot on the poll question. I assume you're already a subscriber to the daily newsletter. If not, please, it's free and it's worthy. We put a lot of time into it and people love it. We have an open rate that far exceeds all of the better known media outlets. In other words, people don't just subscribe to my daily newsletter, they actually open and read it. There's a fun poll question every day, and at least 3 times a week, award-winning editorial cartoonists are exclusively giving me their work for publication. So I'm really proud of it. Okay. Unions are the only form of democracy worker stakeholders have in corporations, says Gary, is it pronounced Cray? I don't know that they're getting the job done, though. I mean, capital just seems to have them outmatched at every step of the way. The management is able to hire lobbyists. Management is protected by Congress. Management has the ear, usually, of the president, maybe not in this case. How many units are putting on the Lehigh Cornell game? Shame on me for not even looking at the engineers. I refuse to call them the Mountain Hawks. The Mountain Hawks. Where did that come from? The newsletter is amazing. I get so much info from it all in one place. Who is that? Kelly McCluskey. God bless Kelly McCluskey. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really more Doug Sosnick, says EJ. EJ, I wanted Doug to come on television today. He doesn't come out to play. He doesn't come out to play all that often, but I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was such a good guest, and he turned me on to the work of the Harvard pollster John Della Volpe, whose work I will reference on TV today, focused in on this generational divide. Now, I know that some people say, oh, the kids in the 60s, when they got older, they became conservative once they started to earn money and so on and so forth. This is always the way that it is. I'll get into that with Jean Twangy today, because she has studied the issue as well. So, all right. Hey, I got to go get my noggin powdered. I still have a problem with my mouth. I know many of you are saying you've always had a problem with your mouth. No, I have got a pain, and it's not really a tooth pain. It's kind of grisly. It is a tongue pain. And I feel like my tongue is just fat and getting in my way. I had a broken tooth a week ago Friday night from Johnson's Popcorn. Don't worry, Johnson's. I'm not suing you. I love your popcorn. And then I did this show last Saturday morning, really struggling because the tooth was cutting into my tongue. So last Saturday afternoon, 3 different pharmacies for 3 different products, none of which gave me relief. None of which gave me relief. Sunday morning, emergency trip to the dentist, so the dentist can just file off whatever is sticking into my tongue. And then Monday, I spent the afternoon in a dental chair getting the tooth repaired, but my tongue is so banged up that, like, I'm just in pain and hoping I can do a decent job on the program. But you didn't know, right? You couldn't tell. Could you tell? Kate Kelly, couldn't the dentist give you something topical for the pain? So I called the dentist yesterday. Thank you for asking. See, she's interested. And I'm like, hey, man, it's been 5 days. Like, I'm in agony. And the answer that came back was, what do you think the answer that came back was? Homeopathic remedy, old school, everything that our mothers told us. Salt. Yeah, gargle with salt water. So I gargled this morning. I gargled last night. Desiree Sunset 81. Are you sure there's no infection? I hope not. Whiskey. Sean, I tried the whiskey. The problem is, like, things that are acidic, including the whiskey, the only thing I was able to drink this week, how about this? Do you want to know the kind of misery I'm in? I've not smoked in several days. That ought to sum it up. Like, you should be saying right now, damn, he's hurting. And the only thing I had to drink this week was a little bit of white wine. That's it. I couldn't have anything else. It just, and the worst, and then I'll stop my complaining. Like you guys are saying to him right now, he is such a wimp. Okay, how about this one? I've worked for the last 6 months getting my garden off the ground. It's tomato harvesting time, the best time of year. I can't even eat the tomatoes because it just stings. All right. Now you're now calling me that word that rhymes with all right, I won't even say it. Yeah, I had the quiche. The quiche was pretty good. I mean, that I was able to do. And I had vegetable fried rice. But if I put in any soy sauce, done. So I had to have vegetable fried rice without any soy sauce. Quiche and Sancerre. You're right, Kelly. Thank you for that. Buttered Pop-Tart. Steve Slattery, I had that for breakfast, by hand to God. Strawberry, Pop-Tart, butter with no icing. Okay. See you, gang. Thank you.